$80 million, and the waste is unbelievable.
Easy to say, but then entire communities in the United States are built around the military, and they depend on the military. So straight out to the lion's den. The Danielle, Belton, political blogger, it's easy to talk about hypothetically cut military spending, but with millions of American families depending on military spending, is it even politically feasible?
Well, that's the tough part about cutting defense spending. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and my father worked in the aerospace industry, and he was someone that, I mean, he put food on our table because of the fact that people in the government bought the F-15 fighter jet. I mean, that was the main reason why I was able to go to college, why we had the home that we had, was all built on how much was being spent in the military-industrial complex. So the reality is you have lots of lobbyists, you have lots of politicians, you have lots of corporations that are all in bed with each other, basically, to keep this fundraising machine going at all costs, whether you actually need the weapons or not.
Well, I mean, we got to do something. Rolanda wants
definitely.
Host the Sundays with Rolanda. We have to do something. See that money? It's really not, at the end of the day, just paper you can print out. I mean, come on, we're on the verge of a financial crisis here if things don't get resolved sometime soon.
Well, that's true. I think we need to claim a declaration of independence from war. There's no question we need a strong defense. There's no question about that. But I feel that maybe that budget is a bit bloated. And you pointed out, in every house, we need to clean out the clutter here and there. And it's ironic that because of that, it's coming back to bite our own military families. This is unconscionable, what is happening, and it's just when they're children that are suffering, military families that are suffering, there has got to be something done. Enough is enough.
You know, when you have $150 million per plane, there's a problem. And I read at one point, I can't prove this is true, that there are some corporations that make stuff for the military. They put different parts in different states so that they're protected politically, so nobody wants to cut that particular thing they're making for the U.S. government, for the military.
Look, there's absolutely fat there, Jane, but also we can't forget we're living in the age of terrorism, and terror is still a real threat both here and around the world, and a lot of that spending is counterterrorism money and other terrorism-related activities.
We can fight terrorism here in our country much better if we pull troops out of all these other countries we're in. We've been fighting wars, as far as I can remember, for the last few decades, and
you know, it's easy to say that.
It's easy to say to come first.
It's easy to say that, but you would be the first to yell if, God forbid, there's another terror attack here and it gets traced to another country. I mean, so we have to look at the full picture.
Listen,
it's easy to say what needs to be cut.
Okay, hold on one second, Adam. Let Rolanda wants to get in.
Well, maybe we should work on the way we relate to people, to other people. I mean, militarism, materialism, and racism have been called the three evils of this nation. And maybe we need to change our policy with people instead of with politicians. I think there's so many politicians in bed with so many different situations that there's going to have to be a major change of a thought process, a major change of consciousness in this nation before things like our budgets change. Our minds, our hearts, our consciousness has to change first. Where is the compassion and the humanity in politics these days?
Look, the Iraq and Afghanistan wars have cost more than $150 billion a year, according to Business Insider. Susan, Illinois, what do you have to say?
Ridiculous.